I think we have a lot of whys
We do.
that we ask God. And so the first thing I'd like to say is that I've learned in my life.
Something unexpected happened in 2025 that shook the Christian broadcasting world. Joyce Meyer, a familiar face on Dyer TV for nearly 2 decades, vanished from the network without warning. The official explanation was vague, leaving audiences puzzled. Yet leaked documents tell a different story, one involving serious allegations that go far beyond financial disputes. Joyce Meyer Ministries scrambled to find new platforms, facing a notable drop in viewership. Insiders whispered that this could signal the beginning of a challenging chapter. The woman who built a $100 million ministry empire was now confronting a storm unlike anything she had faced before. What really happened at Dyer? And how did Joyce Meyer's past prepare her for this moment? To understand, we must go back to the very beginning. Joyce Meyer was born Pauline Joyce Hutcherson on June 4, 1943, in South St. Louis. It was the height of World War II, and the city carried a heavy sense of uncertainty. At home, the weight was even heavier. Her father, a machinist, was drafted into the army the very day she was born. For 3 years, he was absent, leaving a void in the family that no one could fill. When he returned in 1946, he was changed, angry, distant, and increasingly reliant on alcohol. Joyce's home became a place of tension, fear, and instability. Money was tight, emotions were strained, and the innocence of childhood was overshadowed by uncertainty. From a very young age, Joyce learned that safety and comfort were fragile. The patterns of abuse, control, and isolation began to form, leaving invisible scars that would follow her for decades. By the age of 5, Joyce started noticing how strange and harsh the rules were at home. Punishments became harsher, isolation more frequent, and the simple joys of childhood, like playing with friends, were replaced by constant vigilance and fear. By the age of 3, Joyce says the sexual abuse began. The walls of her home kept secrets that weighed on her tiny shoulders. Her mother, terrified and bruised from her own struggles, stayed silent. That silence magnified Joyce's isolation. She quickly realized that no one was coming to rescue her. Her father's abuse intensified over the years. He used fear, lies, and manipulation to ensure Joyce stayed quiet. From the age of 10 to 18, she endured over 200 documented incidents. Her childhood was a battlefield of secrecy, pain, and the constant erosion of self-worth. As she entered her early teens, the abuse took on an even darker dimension. Her father introduced pornography as a tool of control, leaving Joyce feeling confused, ashamed, and isolated from peers. By 12, she internalized the belief that she was worthless, not just because of the abuse, but because of the relentless verbal assaults that accompanied it. Her mother's quiet suffering left an indelible mark. Joyce longed for protection, but the person who should have been her anchor remained silent, unable to face the scandal. The lesson of her youth was brutal. Sometimes those we hope will protect us are powerless, or unwilling, to do so. At 18, in 1961, Joyce ran away. She left home with little more than determination and the hope of freedom. The memories and trauma remained, but she finally breathed outside the suffocating walls of her childhood. Her first marriage, a desperate attempt to find stability and love, ended painfully. She married a man she later described as a con artist who lied, cheated, and abandoned her. By 1966, she was alone again, left with only a handful of possessions and the lessons of betrayal etched into her heart. A second marriage offered hope but brought more emotional turbulence. By her early 20s, Joyce had her first child, Laura, and worked tirelessly as a bank teller to support her family. Depression and anxiety weighed heavily, mixing past trauma with the pressures of daily survival. Despite the darkness, Joyce slowly began to turn back toward faith. The steps were small, but they became the foundation for a future built not just on survival, but on helping others navigate their own pain. In 1976, when Joyce was 33, she experienced a moment that would shape her life. Driving to work early one morning, tired and frustrated, she prayed as she had many times before. Then she heard her name called 3 times, clear and unmistakable. The experience left her shaken and exhilarated. Although she had been a Christian since childhood, this moment sparked a renewed sense of purpose. Joyce began to pray differently, read scripture with fresh eyes, and seek ways to apply her faith actively. It was a turning point that moved her from quiet belief to purposeful action. Soon, she began gathering coworkers during lunch breaks to read and study the Bible. What started as a small group of 25 to 30 people grew quickly. Joyce shared not just scripture, but her personal struggles, creating a space where listeners felt understood and seen. By the early 1980s, Joyce and her husband joined Life Christian Center in Fenton, Missouri, a small church of just 30 members. She started a women's Bible study at home, expecting only a few attendees. Instead, 115 women showed up, eventually growing to 500 weekly participants. Recognizing her gift for connecting with people, the pastor ordained her as an associate pastor in 1980, a rare achievement for a woman at the time. Joyce's honesty about surviving abuse resonated deeply, giving her the credibility to counsel and guide others facing similar challenges. In 1983, she launched her radio program, Life in the Word, first airing on a single station in St. Louis. Within a few years, it expanded across the Midwest, reaching listeners in Chicago, Kansas City, and beyond. Her candid discussions about trauma, fear, and emotional healing struck a chord with audiences who had long suffered in silence. By 1993, Joyce took her message to television, launching Enjoying Everyday Life on WGN-TV and BT. What began as a local 30-minute show quickly expanded, reaching over 1 million viewers each month within 2 years. Her raw, personal style stood out. Joyce openly shared the abuse she endured, the battles she fought with fear and shame, and the healing she found through faith. Viewers, especially women, felt a profound connection, often seeing in her story a reflection of their own struggles. By 1997, her program aired in 20 countries. Joyce's willingness to tackle heavy topics, including scenes of trauma reenacted for educational purposes, cemented her reputation as a fearless teacher who prioritized healing over comfort. In 1997, the ministry moved into a $20 million headquarters in Fenton, funded by over $100 million in donations. The new facility included production studios capable of producing more than 300 episodes a year, allowing Joyce to extend her reach globally. Her personal transparency, discussing divorces, infidelity, and mistakes, continued to attract audiences, though not without criticism. Some local religious leaders accused her of preaching prosperity, questioning whether her message misled struggling congregants. Yet Joyce pressed forward. In 2000, she and her husband opened the St. Louis Dream Center, a 100-acre facility offering addiction recovery, housing, and food programs. More than 5,000 individuals benefited annually, demonstrating the tangible impact of her ministry beyond television and radio. Joyce Meyer's writing career began in 1986 with Tell Them I Love Them and soon became prolific. By 2010, she had published over 100 books, including Battlefield of the Mind, which sold over 30 million copies and remained on bestseller lists for nearly a decade. Her books address trauma, fear, and mental health openly, helping readers confront issues often ignored by religious communities. Beauty for Ashes, released in 2011, revealed painful details about her father's threats, creating space for millions of survivors to speak their own truths. Her influence extended to international aid. Following the 2010 Haiti earthquake, her ministry distributed $5 million in food, water, and medical supplies, while building permanent housing for survivors. These efforts showcased both her reach and the scale of her ministry's operations. Despite her contributions, Joyce faced intense scrutiny. In 2003, a 4-part investigative report revealed her salary, her husband's earnings, and luxurious spending on multiple homes and a $23,000 marble commode. The public backlash was fierce. In 2007, she was among the Grassley 6 televangelists investigated for financial practices. Joyce's ministry complied fully, and no illegal activity was found. However, the attention prompted reforms, including greater transparency, audits, and independent board oversight. Even cosmetic surgery for staff in 2005 raised questions about the ministry's priorities. Joyce's book royalties brought in millions, further fueling debates over self-enrichment versus ministry spending. Despite criticism, the ministry maintained its tax-exempt status and continued charitable work. By 2024, Joyce's long-standing partnership with Dyer TV faced a test. Journalist Julie Roy revealed that Dyer's president, Joni Lamb, ignored warnings of sexual abuse involving her granddaughter. Documents and sources indicated that these warnings were deliberately sidelined. In January 2025, Joyce paused broadcasts on Dyer. The decision was personal. Her past made her sensitive to abuse and injustice. She transitioned her programs to TBN, Lifetime, and YouTube, reaching over 500,000 viewers daily. While she lost roughly 10% of her audience, her digital reach grew, especially among younger viewers seeking direct engagement and open discussions. The Dyer scandal also revealed internal family disputes and financial allegations, adding complexity to the network's issues. Joyce publicly advocated for stronger protections for children in ministries, connecting her personal history with contemporary action. On November 14, 2025, Joyce's daily devotional was titled "Discipline Brings Reward." She emphasized integrity, honesty, and perseverance through trials, messages that resonated deeply amidst the Dyer controversy. More than 400,000 people downloaded the devotional that week, reflecting her enduring ability to connect personal struggle with spiritual insight. Even in turbulent seasons, Joyce Meyer's story continues to inspire, teach, and challenge, demonstrating the power of resilience forged through trauma, faith, and relentless dedication. As the world moved deeper into the digital era, Joyce Meyer Ministries adapted with remarkable speed. Social media platforms, live streaming, and YouTube became new frontiers. By 2025, Joyce had fully embraced these technologies, reaching millions globally in ways that television alone could never achieve. Her online content was no longer just preaching, it was interactive. Daily devotionals, live Q&A sessions, and behind-the-scenes glimpses into the ministry allowed audiences to feel closer to her message. Younger viewers, who were often skeptical of traditional televangelism, began to engage deeply with her teachings. Despite leaving Dyer, Joyce's digital pivot proved strategic. Her willingness to openly discuss mental health, trauma, and the difficulties of life in ministry resonated far beyond her core audience. Her online community began to flourish, creating a new era of connection between teacher and viewer. Even as her ministry expanded, Joyce faced personal loss and reflection. The years of building a ministry, navigating public scrutiny, and surviving abuse left deep emotional imprints. She spoke openly about the moments of despair that still occasionally surfaced, the sleepless nights, the memories that returned unbidden, the guilt that lingered. These reflections were not shared for sympathy, but as a way to connect with people who faced similar inner battles. Joyce emphasized that faith did not erase pain, but it gave people the tools to navigate it. Her own journey, from a childhood filled with fear to a global platform of influence, became a blueprint for resilience and hope. Joyce's personal history informed her activism. By the mid-2020s, her ministry quietly funded programs to fight abuse, support adoption, and provide legal and emotional support to survivors of violence. Hundreds of children benefited, many in complete anonymity, allowing families to rebuild lives free from public scrutiny. She partnered with organizations like the International Justice Mission, funding rescues, legal assistance, and rehabilitation. For Joyce, advocacy was inseparable from ministry. She believed that faith demanded action, not just words. These efforts demonstrated the tangible impact of a ministry rooted in personal experience and empathy. However, leading a multi-million-dollar ministry in a highly public arena was never simple. Joyce Meyer Ministries faced constant scrutiny. Critics questioned spending, operational transparency, and personal enrichment. Every public decision, whether a salary adjustment, a new building, or an outreach program, was analyzed under a microscope. Joyce openly addressed these challenges, acknowledging mistakes and emphasizing reform. Her ministry implemented stricter financial oversight, independent boards, and regular reporting to ensure accountability. While not every controversy was fully silenced, her willingness to confront criticism head-on strengthened credibility over time. The heart of Joyce Meyer's message remained unchanged: healing is possible, even after profound pain. Through radio, television, books, conferences, and online platforms, she touched millions. Survivors of abuse, struggling parents, and people battling depression found solace and guidance in her words. Joyce frequently recounted her journey, from abuse to freedom, from despair to faith, from silence to outspoken advocacy. Her willingness to make the private public allowed others to confront their own trauma without shame. She turned personal pain into a ministry that reached across continents, languages, and cultural divides. The Dyer TV controversy was a test of resilience. Joyce chose principle over convenience, prioritizing ethical action over maintaining a lucrative broadcast deal. Her audience may have shrunk temporarily, but her integrity and consistency reinforced the trust of those who remained. This episode also highlighted her unique ability to relate personal history to public events. Having endured betrayal, abuse, and financial scrutiny, Joyce spoke with authority on issues of justice, responsibility, and moral courage. Her messages were not abstract, they were drawn directly from a life tested under extreme circumstances. By late 2025, Joyce Meyer Ministries had stabilized in its new digital and television homes. TBN, Lifetime, and YouTube became central channels for daily teaching, reaching hundreds of thousands of viewers. The content evolved: interactive sessions, online devotionals, and personalized guidance allowed audiences to participate actively. Younger generations were particularly receptive, appreciating her candidness about mental health, trauma, and resilience. Joyce's ability to adapt while remaining true to her core message exemplified a rare combination of vision and pragmatism. Her ministry, though changed, was stronger in some ways than ever before. The story of Joyce Meyer is one of survival, faith, and transformation. She survived abuse, poverty, betrayal, and public scrutiny, turning each challenge into a stepping stone for others. Her life teaches that adversity does not define a person, how they respond does. Joyce's approach combined honesty, empathy, and unwavering faith. She confronted pain rather than hiding from it, modeled accountability, and built programs that tangibly improved lives. Her legacy is measured not only by wealth, books, or television ratings, but by the millions of people whose lives she touched, healed, and inspired. Even as Joyce Meyer Ministries adapted to digital platforms, Joyce never lost sight of the global mission. Her teachings began reaching far beyond the United States, touching people in Europe, Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Translations of her books, subtitled broadcasts, and online devotionals allowed her message to transcend language barriers. Faith, for Joyce, was not just about belief, it was about transformation. She consistently emphasized practical applications of Scripture, helping people tackle real-life challenges such as financial struggles, addiction, and mental health issues. Audiences from diverse cultural backgrounds connected to her honesty and practical advice, proving that trauma and hope were universal experiences. Joyce understood the importance of passing on her knowledge and experience. Over the years, she mentored a new generation of Christian leaders and counselors. Her guidance focused on emotional intelligence, ethical leadership, and compassionate ministry. Many of those she trained went on to establish their own ministries, spreading Joyce's approach of combining faith with practical healing. She encouraged openness about personal struggles, emphasizing that vulnerability was not weakness but a bridge to deeper connection. Through mentorship, her legacy extended beyond her own ministry, shaping future leaders who would continue the work of transforming lives. One of the lesser-known aspects of Joyce Meyer Ministries is the quiet work done behind the scenes. Over decades, the ministry funded hundreds of adoptions for children who survived abuse, covered medical care for the impoverished, and supported legal fees for those trapped in abusive situations. Joyce rarely publicized these efforts. She believed that acts of service were most meaningful when done without seeking recognition. Yet each initiative left a profound impact, creating new beginnings for countless children, families, and communities. Her faith-driven philanthropy became a model for ministries worldwide. Throughout her career, Joyce faced criticism for financial decisions, luxury purchases, and her approach to prosperity teaching. While detractors focused on the optics, Joyce responded with transparency. The ministry instituted stricter financial reporting, independent oversight boards, and regular audits. Joyce spoke publicly about lessons learned from mistakes, emphasizing that leadership required accountability, not perfection. Her willingness to address criticism head-on earned respect, even from some skeptics, reinforcing the message that honesty was central to spiritual and organizational integrity. By the mid-2020s, Joyce Meyer Ministries had firmly established itself as a global humanitarian force. From disaster relief in Haiti to clean water projects in Africa, the ministry's reach went far beyond preaching. These efforts were deeply influenced by Joyce's personal history. Having experienced abuse, poverty, and neglect, she recognized suffering in others and worked to create tangible change. Each initiative, from funding education programs to constructing safe shelters, was designed to restore dignity and hope. Her leadership highlighted how faith and action could intersect to make measurable, positive differences in the world. Another distinguishing aspect of Joyce's ministry was her advocacy for mental health awareness. Unlike many religious leaders, she spoke openly about depression, anxiety, and trauma, issues she personally faced. Her YouTube channels, live sessions, and conferences often included guidance for dealing with emotional distress. She emphasized therapy, counseling, and community support alongside faith, helping break the stigma that mental struggles were incompatible with religious life. Joyce's courage in discussing these topics inspired other faith leaders to address them openly, changing the conversation within Christian communities. Public controversies have been a recurring challenge throughout Joyce's career. From early criticisms about prosperity teachings to high-profile scandals like Dyer TV, she faced scrutiny from both the media and her audience. Yet each controversy reinforced a core lesson: resilience and integrity matter more than popularity. Joyce consistently used public setbacks as teaching moments, addressing issues openly, encouraging accountability, and demonstrating the importance of aligning actions with principles. Her ability to navigate criticism without losing focus became a defining feature of her leadership style. By 2025, Joyce's ministry had fully embraced digital innovation. Online platforms became more than distribution channels, they became community hubs. Viewers could engage with live devotionals, submit questions, and receive personal guidance in real time. This level of interactivity allowed Joyce to expand her reach and connect with younger audiences who preferred online engagement over traditional television broadcasts. Her ability to adapt without compromising her message demonstrated her foresight and willingness to innovate. Joyce Meyer's journey offers timeless lessons in leadership. She showed that true leaders confront challenges honestly, take responsibility for mistakes, and lead with compassion. Her story underscores the importance of empathy, transparency, and courage in positions of influence. By combining faith, experience, and practical wisdom, she cultivated a ministry that not only shared spiritual teachings but also addressed real-world struggles. This holistic approach to leadership helped her ministry thrive despite financial scrutiny, public criticism, and personal setbacks. Ultimately, Joyce Meyer's life is a testament to resilience. From a childhood marked by abuse and neglect to building a global ministry that touches millions, her story demonstrates the transformative power of faith, perseverance, and action. Simple yet profound, to provide hope, healing, and practical guidance to anyone facing hardship. New projects were launched to support education for underprivileged children, build safe shelters for abuse survivors, and provide mental health resources through online platforms. Joyce understood that faith alone was not enough, action was essential. Her forward-looking approach ensured that the ministry would continue to grow and remain relevant in a rapidly changing world. By 2026, Joyce Meyer Ministries had established partnerships with international organizations to extend its humanitarian reach. Collaborations with NGOs focused on disaster relief, human trafficking, and child welfare allowed the ministry to leverage resources and expertise for maximum impact. Her personal involvement in these projects was significant. Joyce often visited countries affected by crises, meeting survivors face-to-face and offering encouragement. These visits were documented through her digital platforms, allowing viewers to witness firsthand the tangible difference faith and compassion could make. Throughout her career, Joyce emphasized mentoring the next generation of Christian leaders. She trained pastors, counselors, and ministry staff in ethical leadership, emotional intelligence, and compassionate outreach. Many of her mentor went on to establish their own ministries, applying the principles Joyce instilled in them: transparency, accountability, and resilience. Her approach created a ripple effect, extending her influence far beyond her own ministry and ensuring that her vision would endure. As she aged, Joyce Meyer became increasingly reflective about her journey. She openly discussed the challenges of growing older while leading a high-profile ministry, including maintaining energy, relevance, and emotional health. Her reflections were not just personal, they were lessons for her audience. She emphasized that life's struggles do not end with age. Instead, wisdom comes from facing challenges with faith and courage. Joyce's transparency about aging, vulnerability, and resilience offered a model for viewers navigating their own later years. Faith remained at the core of Joyce Meyer's life and work. She consistently taught that spiritual growth required confronting fear, embracing forgiveness, and cultivating self-worth. Her teachings were deeply practical, showing audiences how to apply Scripture to everyday struggles. Joyce's own life exemplified this philosophy. Her survival of abuse, personal loss, and public controversy was a testament to the transformative power of faith. She modeled how individuals could take control of their lives, heal from trauma, and achieve personal and spiritual growth. Joyce's commitment to abuse survivors never waned. She expanded programs to provide counseling, legal assistance, and safe housing for victims, often funding initiatives personally. Her advocacy was informed by her own history, allowing her to connect authentically with survivors. Joyce's work helped break the silence surrounding abuse, creating a space where people could speak openly and seek help without shame. These initiatives became a cornerstone of her ministry, reflecting both personal conviction and strategic vision. Beyond media and philanthropy, Joyce initiated legacy projects designed to have long-term community impact. Schools, community centers, and wellness programs were established in underprivileged areas, providing resources for generations to come. These projects reinforced her belief that faith must produce tangible results. By combining spiritual teachings with practical assistance, Joyce created a ministry that addressed both the heart and the circumstances of those she served. Joyce Meyer's effectiveness as a leader came largely from her ability to tell stories. Her personal experiences, from childhood trauma to public controversies, were used not to garner sympathy, but to illustrate resilience, faith, and transformation. Audiences connected deeply because her stories were authentic, relatable, and emotionally charged. She showed that even in the darkest moments, healing and hope were possible. Storytelling became not just a communication tool, but a mechanism for change, empowerment, and faith-based education. Recognizing the challenges of reaching younger, tech-savvy audiences, Joyce invested heavily in digital infrastructure. YouTube channels, social media campaigns, and live streaming sessions created opportunities for engagement that television alone could not provide. These efforts allowed her to maintain relevance and expand her reach globally. The digital transition was not just about numbers, it was about accessibility. Anyone, anywhere, could engage with Joyce's teachings, ensuring her message transcended geographic and social barriers. Looking back, Joyce Meyer's journey is a story of resilience, faith, and unwavering commitment to others. From a childhood marked by abuse to building one of the most influential ministries in the world, her life illustrates the power of perseverance, honesty, and compassion. Her teachings, outreach, and advocacy continue to inspire millions, proving that personal struggle can be transformed into purpose. Joyce Meyer's legacy is not just measured in books sold, programs aired, or donations collected, it is measured in lives changed, hope restored, and courage ignited.